Hey Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here, and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee have been rumoured. The Pokemon Switch games are around the corner. Heck, maybe they've been announced by now. And many of you were probably expecting Generation 4 remakes or Pokemon Generation 8 on the Switch, which is what I was expecting. And that's not surprising, since Generation 4 Pokemon has been a lot less predictable. Gen 5 rolled around and we were expecting a Pokemon Grey to go with our Black and White, but we got Black and White too. And so people were a little bit more on edge when X and Y came out. What should we expect? XZ or a YZ version? Maybe it is just going to be a Pokemon Z or a Pokemon XYZ version to go with the show. And sorry, because I'm just going to swap between Z and Z because whatever. But what nobody guessed is that we would get nothing. Nothing. There was no Pokemon Z version. There was no Pokemon Z version. There's not gonna be. And often I hear people go, well, yeah, that would have been too predictable. But no, it really wouldn't have been. We should have got something. Pokemon X and Y are sometimes marked as some of the worst games, and not because they're particularly bad, just because they didn't get their third version, their completed version, with all of the problems from the previous games kind of tightened up. And if you don't think that's a real thing in Pokemon, I mean, Pokemon Platinum, lots of people credit Pokemon Diamond and Pearl for being super slow. Pokemon Platinum speeds up your playthrough by just changing a few little elements. It makes it more interesting by giving you access to different Pokemon at different points. And a third version for X and Y, or even 2 sequels, or even 3 sequels, heck, something was needed, especially to explain the story of Zygarde. Now, I'm gonna go down the list, because there were a few things. There was, of course, Zygarde, the third Pokemon, Xerneas, Yveltal, Zygarde. This Pokemon was meant to be part of that trio, except it really wasn't. It was incredibly separate to them, even though it had the XYZ theming, and there was life, death, and balance in the middle order, which was Zygarde, and that its ultimate form had the blue wing and the red wing on it, the Zygarde perfect form. It has elements of Xerneas and Yveltal with it. It never really got the love it deserved in the game. Instead, it was just sitting in a cave. It did sort of get crammed into Sun and Moon, which already had a ton of legendary stuff going on with Silvally and the Ultra Beast. It was definitely not originally intended to be in there. I think that Game Freak felt that it needed to be in there, because otherwise its story was going to get no resolution. But this Pokemon was definitely supposed to get some kind of expanded story. It happened in the show, but it did not happen in the games. And it wasn't just Zygarde too. There were alternate forms of Kalos Pokemon, like Ash Greninja and the AZ's Eternal Flower Floette. Now, Ash Greninja did see a release in the Sun and Moon demo, but given that this is a demo for a Generation 7 game, why it had an evolution of a starter from Generation 6 is again one of that feelings of, oh, they needed to cram it in somewhere. Get it out of the way, nice and hidden, so we can just hurry up and move on to the next gen. And AZ's Eternal Flower Floette in the code of Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, as well as X and Y, it has not been touched yet. We still don't know really what it's about. I've done a theory on the channel before suggesting that it's some kind of regional variant, a regional variant of a future game, but yeah, we've heard nothing. On top of this, in the game's codes, people found that when Generation 6 came out, that there's a little pentagon icon, and that it was supposed to be applied to 6 possible games. We had X and Y, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so people were thinking a XZ and a YZ version. But again, nothing happened there, and even in the games, there is of course the ever-famous Kalos Power Plant, an area of the game that would have been perfect for Volcanion or some kind of legendary Pokemon or alternate story that was locked. It was a building in the game with a locked door that you couldn't get in. And that, as a Pokemon trainer and explorer, is incredibly infuriating. But the question continues, why? Why did this happen? And I realize this is going to be a very short video with maybe not that much resolution. Pokemon Z was supposed to happen, but instead its plot points, everything to do with Zygarde, was smushed into Pokemon Sun and Moon. So much so that by the time we get onto Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Zygarde's forgotten about completely. Why did this happen? There's 2 reasons I can think of, and maybe you're going to help me out and have a discussion with each other in the comments as to why you think this happened. Number 1, lining up with other media. Pokemon, somehow as a series magically, tends to line up its media so that releases are happening at the same time. For example, let's take a look at the Sun and Moon era. As the show was starting, the Sun and Moon set of cards were coming out, as well as the games had just come out. By the time we get to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, in the show, Ash is starting to visit Ultra Space and see Ultra Beasts, and in the card games, we get these cool Prism cards and Ultra. It's like a new series where we're focusing more on the Ultra Beasts. We're no longer focusing on the smaller legendaries like the Tapus or Sogle and Lunala. No, now we're focusing on the big Ultra Necrozmas and all the other wormhole related stuff. These things tend to line up. But with X and Y, there was only 3 legendaries, 6 if you include the mythicals. And given that the initial X and Y set had Xerneas and Yveltal on the cover, by the time you get to Zygarde, you're kind of only left with a Koopa, a Volcanion, and a Diancie to work with. And the show was was moving quite fast already. Now, granted, when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, they started doing things about Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon in the card game, but maybe there just wasn't enough content to last them in all forms of media, and so they felt the need to rush it and speed it up and merge some of their plans with the next generation. That is one explanation. The other explanation is to do with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. All the way back in Generation 3, when Ruby and Sapphire came out, Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red came out. Then Generation 4 rolled around, we got Diamond and Pearl, and alongside that, Hot Gold, Soul Silver. So when Black and White came out, and we didn't get remakes, we got Black and White 2, and then people were expecting a Hoenn remake. They were expecting it, demanding it even. But we didn't get that. We got X and Y. Okay, awesome. So this is the generation where we're gonna see a 3D Hoenn. Right, Game Freak? Right, Game Freak. Game Freak heard a very loud and aggressive internet saying, "We want Hoenn." Hoenn confirmed, blow the trumpets, too much water? I don't think so. And we got Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and possibly production on those games, as well as production on Sun and Moon, which it's rumored to have happened, or possibly even confirmed to have happened, that production on those games started during development of X and Y. That this weird work schedule, which they hadn't quite accounted for, ended up consuming most of their time, and they just went, you know what, we're just gonna merge everything all into one. The demand for Hoenn possibly killed a Pokemon Z, which, you know, take that out for what you will. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I really like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Those are my thoughts. You're gonna have to let me know yours in the comments. This is more of a discussion-based video. Let's turn this not just to me ranting at the screen, but rather you know, let me know your thoughts. And of course, make sure you've got the little notification bell hit around wherever that may be on screen. I assume it's below me. I don't know why I'm doing it. Like, it's definitely below me. Make sure you got the little notification bell to get on. I only upload twice a week, maybe 3 if there's a bonus video. And as always, soar high, Pokemon Masters.